Alright everybody, welcome once again to another webcast of Monica at Home meets Christian Pornstar. My name is Alexandra, but I'm more widely known as Monica Foster. Hopefully in time that will change. You might know me from my website where I like to post all of the broadcasts that I've done over the years, which is www.monicaathome.com. But you might also know me from my monicaf.com website. You might know me from my Twitter account. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you really should. My Twitter address is Monica Foster, just the @ Monica Foster. And I also run an adult entertainment industry news blog, of which I like to post a lot of articles that are current in regards to the state of adult entertainment, what I feel is tremendously wrong with it. I like to put my commentary along with that, and I run quite a few websites. Many are in the works right now. I have one that's going to be specifically dedicated toward webcamming, meaning adult webcamming for girls who are looking to leave the Los Angeles porn industry, which I think is the most toxic, dangerous, criminal environment that anyone can find themselves within. That's my path in life. That was a choice that I made. I do feel that I was spiritually guided to make that choice because I think that through my bad decisions, I've helped to shine some light on a lot of changes that have needed to take place and that now are slowly but surely manifesting. Of course, not only due to me, due to some people who are very powerful with the resources to facilitate these changes, but I feel that my little role in the equation of all of this is to bring awareness as to many issues that a lot of people out there, they just don't want to talk about because they're controversial, they're hard to talk about, and in many cases, they're hurtful. They are issues that stem from us as people not taking care of those around us. You know, that they stem from choices that we make that come from a very self-centered place. A lot of times in life, we want to have our fun. We want to have our cake, we want to eat it too, especially here in America. That's kind of what our country is built on. But I do feel that if our society is going to move forward in a positive, healthy, productive, and stable manner, we need to start addressing issues that have been swept under the rug for a very long time that nobody's wanted to look at, but that we do need to look at. Now, for those of you who are watching this as an archive on YouTube or elsewhere, I'm doing this particular webcast live here on Blog TV. And from what I can see, Blog TV seems to have a new website that they're launching or that they're affiliated with called You Now. So I'm going to check that out after the show, but I'm sure many of you need to check that out. So let's see, how do we want to begin this webcast? Well, I'll tell you, I love Blog TV. It's great. When I first logged in today, or actually before I logged in, I saw a young man by the name of, let's see, let me zoom in, because I took a screenshot, and I'll insert the screenshot when I edit this broadcast, by the name of Jabori Rudy Live is his channel, and he was holding up a sign that said, "Trolls, pedos, and haters killed Blog TV." Very telling. Now, obviously, Blog TV isn't dead, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this webcast right now. But his point seems to be that there's a lot of people out there with negative intent. And I didn't watch his webcast, so I don't really know what he was talking about. But for him to be sitting there holding up that sign, being a young person, he looks like he's maybe a teenager or early 20s, something along those lines. For him to be saying that, that's very telling because that's what's going on with social media right now, and that is going to be the core of what I discuss with you today. You have a lot of people, we live in the internet age, and it's wonderful. Before the internet was the internet, just so you guys know out there, or girls, whoever's watching me, I'm 34 years old. I'm much older than many of you watching me, I'm sure. But I saw the internet I saw basically the birth of it. Before the internet was the internet, I was on bulletin board systems. You know, I'm sure some of you might remember online services such as Prodigy, CompuServe. I remember when the first web browser, or one of the first web browsers came out. What was that thing called? Netscape. I remember when I first learned, I was self-taught when it came to HTML coding and ASCII coding and JavaScript and all that kind of stuff. The internet, I think, is meant to be something wonderful. It's meant to share information, ideas, get your views out there. And, you know, this does tie into freedom of speech. I think that freedom of speech is a wonderful thing, but there's so many people out there, primarily the Los Angeles porn industry, that abuses it. It's been completely abused. And then on top of that, you have adult entertainment industry and freedom of speech, so-called attorneys who claim to be fighting for the freedom of speech, but in actuality, they want to stifle speech. They only want to get their points of view, which often are of an extremely dark and negative place. And that's something that I've been bringing attention to, and consequently, people have been adamantly trying to silence me, trying to stalk me, harass me, not just me, my family, my loved ones, people who have been along on the journey with me. So, you know, fortunately, I haven't been silenced yet, and there have been times that I've been very afraid, but as of current, I don't have that fear anymore. If anything, I have a drive to not only get my point of view out there, but to get the truth out there in regards to what's going on with the Los Angeles porn industry and the people who are running it. Now, for those of you who do follow my Twitter, you might have noticed that today, and also yesterday, I've opted to tackle an issue that will be hurtful to some people. But, you know, the truth does hurt. I want to talk about porn industry professionals and their families and their children, and the influences that their children do and will have on other people's children who have no knowledge of the adult entertainment industry, and just in general traditional families who unfortunately will have children that in the next few decades will grow up around the children that I'm going to discuss today, and how it's going to negatively impact their life.
Adult viewing, as we start with family values, the XXX kind. When their daughter wanted to be a professional skater, Shelby and Mike Lane were her biggest supporters.
I wish I had my camera here, because it was really good. Well, that's going to be beautiful.
12 years later, they're still at it, packing their daughter's costumes and makeup and music.
She's got 4 wardrobe changes that we have to do.
Except their daughter Sunny is no longer a skater. She's a porn star. Meet Sunny Lane, a sort of Tanya Harding meets Gypsy Rose Lee. Sunny will tell you and show you just about anything about herself, except her age.
Because it would totally mess the fantasy up for my fans. Come with me.
She'll only say she's in her 20s.
I got a surprise, I told you.
Because the fantasy she's referring to is that she's underage, a little girl.
I have some strawberries and some blueberries.
In fact, Sunny's been described as the Shirley Temple of porn. In a strip show, she actually mimics the same look as the child star in Captain January. But don't let the innocent pouts fool you.
I already got deja vu for the 13th. Because I'm a businesswoman. I have an empire, and I do have a massive team backing me.
A team that consists of image consultants, public relations experts, lawyers, security people.
I found that other pasty.
And 2 managers who, believe it or not, are her parents.
The threesome, right?
We're the team.
That's
We're
right.
the team.
Shelby and Mike moved in with their daughter about 1.5 years ago. They helped manage her career out of Sunny's modest apartment in L.A. seemingly oblivious to all the naked pictures of Sonny that surround them.
You know, I've seen her all my life. There's no sexual innuendo in there anywhere. We are not that way. You know, we're not kinky parents.
Hello, I'm Sunny Lane.
And they're proud of what she does.
Sonny, can you please show us your sunshine?
I got to see my daughter on Playboy TV the very first time.
And I'm going, oh,
She's on Playboy!
she's on Playboy!
She did it! I can't believe it!
And I was just like, well, dreams do come true, I guess.
And
if you
then,
want them bad enough.
That's right.
If there's any parents out there who are watching me, please, please, please get to know the parents of the children or the teenagers that your children or teenagers socialize with. Very, very important. Not just in Los Angeles, not just in Las Vegas, not just in, you know, anywhere that's a metropolitan city, but anywhere in the country. Because right now, there are a tremendous amount of people who are porn stars, who are attached to the Los Angeles porn industry, who have children. And a lot of these people, you would never know it to look at them that they are attached to the Los Angeles porn industry. And being that many of these people are parents and they have children, their children are playing with your children. In some cases, some of these porn professionals might be good people and they might be raising their children right. In other cases, they are not. Which is why it's very important for you to get to know the families of who your children socialize with. This has been heavy on my mind lately because I come from a fairly large family, extended family, to where we have a lot of youngsters coming up into the world. And being that I've seen what I've seen, it scares me to death to know that some of my flesh and blood might be exposed to some elements that are extraordinarily detrimental to their psyche, not just at the age that they are now, but later down the road. A lot of Los Angeles porn industry professionals, and I'm talking about porn stars, directors, producers, makeup artists, porn industry attorneys, porn distributors, porn studio owners, many of them have children, and many of them are raising their children in a manner that is not healthy, and of which these children are exposed to sexual themes very early in life, as young as, you know, as they can walk and talk, that they're growing up around it. And to them, it's normal. But to mainstream society and to what I consider to be a healthy Christian mindset, it is not normal. And when the children of these porn professionals are around mainstream society's children, they're bringing in the porn ideal in their social interactions with mainstream society's children. And in many cases, they may sexualize a child far earlier than they should be sexualized. What I find disturbing, as of current, there's a porn star by the name of Deen who's very popular. You know, the porn industry is trying very, very hard to push him into mainstream media. And he has said something that I find rather disturbing on some of his interviews. He has stated that he wanted to be a porn star since kindergarten.
I have no issues with a 15, 16, 17-year-old girl reading my Twitter. I have no issues with anybody that is old enough to understand. Like, I understood what porn was and everything when I was like 6 years old.
Believe it or not, James said he knew he wanted to be a porn star ever since the day he found an old porn magazine. He was just in kindergarten.
So here I am in kindergarten. I just learned what sex was, and you know, it all kind of just like made sense. I don't know.
Wait, at kindergarten porn? I'm not understanding. So wait, you didn't want to get in porn since kindergarten, or are you telling me you
I did want to get in porn.
You did since kindergarten?
Yeah, maybe.
To me, that doesn't make any sense. Because how are you going to even be aware of what porn is or even what sex is when you're in kindergarten? You know, what kind of family was he coming from? Was he coming from a family of which porn professionals were influences in his life? I'd have to say so. I personally don't believe that he should have ever been socialized with the general populace, considering that that is what he's presenting his mentality to have been. Not at all. A very hot theme or genre that the Los Angeles porn industry is trying to promote has to do with what I perceive as children's themes being adapted into adult content or adult movies.
Who lives in a vibrator under the sea? He's so horny and dirty, he tried to hump me. Now if weird yellow sex is something you lust, then you must be a bird like SpongeNob Square Nuts. Come on now, SpongeNob Square Nuts, SpongeNob Square Nuts.
You know, there's a lot of these parodies that are being produced based on comic books, which are children's themes, cartoons, and even movies that are traditionally family movies, such as The Wizard of Oz. They're making adult XXX adaptations of these movies. And what's bad about this is, even though you have search engines such as Google trying very hard to filter adult content from minors' eyes, these porn producers and their computer programmers and online marketers are keywording this content to where people underage, they might type in, oh, I want to see a Spider-Man movie. They might Google Spider-Man movie, and then bam, they come across Axel Braun's adaptation of Superman versus Spider-Man, which is an adult movie. So, in my view, a lot of Los Angeles porn industry professionals do have the goal of exposing youngsters to sexual content early on, and that leads me to wonder if they're okay with exposing their minors, their own children, to sexual content very early in life, and for their minors to be socialized and to be going to the same schools, hanging out with just mainstream society's children who may not have the same ideals. Mainstream society's parents really need to become as aware of this issue as soon as possible. They need to already be aware of it. So I'm going to try my best to make as many people aware of it as possible, because a lot of these people, you know, they are making a lot of money, being that they're working as porn professionals. So generally they can make a median to upper end income, so they're living in nice neighborhoods to where you do have traditional families raising fairly well-adjusted children. But for these Los Angeles porn industry professionals' children to be matriculating with traditional families' children, I don't think it's right. I think that there needs to be awareness of this. And a lot of people, they're going to say, well, you know, it sounds to me like you're talking about segregation, but perhaps I am. I'm not talking about racial segregation. I'm talking about choice of career segregation. But again, I want to close by saying that if you are a parent out there, please get to know the parents of who your children and teenagers hang out with, because if their parents are affiliated with the adult entertainment industry in any way, shape, or form, you need to keep an eye as to what's happening, because and also I think that the scholastic system needs to be aware of what every child or teenager in every school's parents do for a living, because if certain incidents such as rapes occur, there needs to be a known background as far as where that child or teenager comes from. Kids nowadays, they're seeing so much online, and you know, there might be a little girl out there who sex would be the furthest thing from her mind, but she might go to a party. She could be 10 years old. She might go to a party, and some little boy, he might have a parent that's a pornographer, so he's very aware as far as sexuality, and he could molest that girl, and that would affect her for every waking day for the rest of her life. Just as of recent, there's been a story in the news in regards to Steubenville, and an ex-porn star who's very widely known by the name of Tracy Lords has come out in regards to having grown up in Steubenville and having been molested. She was raped at the age of 10 years old, and her mother was also sexually assaulted in that same town. So it can happen anywhere, but you need to be aware of your neighbors, be aware of the parents of who your children play with, and just make yourself aware of the truth in regards to adult entertainment. If you want to read further information on this, you can visit my website, pornnewstoday.com, monicaathome.com, also a plethora of other sites. There's a woman by the name of Crystal Cox, who's an investigative blogger. She is exposing a tremendous amount of material right now. There's a woman named Tanaya, who has a website called savethewomen.ca, to where she brings a lot of awareness in regards to sex trafficking. You have Annie Lobert, who runs Hookers for Jesus. She brings a lot of awareness as to sex trafficking, as does Shelley Lubin, who has a foundation called the Pink Cross, and as does an acquaintance of mine who goes by the name of, who used to go by the name of Desi Fox, but who currently is using her real name, Diana Graham Mason, who runs a website called Porn in the Valley and a family of other sites where you can learn quite a bit in regards to the truth of the Los Angeles porn industry. So now I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'll take questions and comments, but thanks everyone for watching, and please pass these links along to your friends and family so that they can educate themselves, because education really is power. Thanks.